Please take a second to read the disclaimer. Pause the video if you have to. Do not perform any stretches or interventions unless you've been cleared by a medical professional. Cervical Flow 0.5 is going to focus on some very basic stretches of the cervical spine. This is literally half of a flow, but without further ado, we're going to get into it. You're going to hold on to the chair, in this case with your left hand, tilting your head to the right and using your right hand to gently facilitate. That means finger pressure in the direction of where you're trying to get your head to stretch. In this case, you're trying to bring your right ear to your right shoulder, and you should be feeling a stretch in the left side of your neck. Again, gentle pressure. You are not grabbing and pulling. You're using your hand to kind of keep an idea of where your head is, making sure that your chin doesn't come forward, that you don't rotate your head towards your armpit, anything like that. It's just gently there to help keep your head where you want it and facilitate that stretch. Now, the longer you hold this stretch, the more range of motion you're probably going to get, the more that ear is going to get closer and closer to that shoulder, just like you're seeing what's happening here. That's fine. Remember that we're going to be hanging out in mild discomfort and no pain. If you have any pain with this, stop, bring it back to where there is no pain, and hang out there. Now, I'm trying my best to count to a minute in my head. That's the minimum. Remember that the science says 1 minute holds are what is necessary at a minimum to actually induce tissue lengthening. Now we're doing the other side here, same thing. Fingers are there on the side of my head to gently facilitate that stretch. My right hand is anchored on the bottom of that chair, so that way my neck muscles have nowhere to go. They're stuck in between a shoulder that's not moving and my head that is gently being tilted to the opposite direction. Also want to take a second and apologize that I shot this in vertical. I tried shooting in horizontal and you just couldn't see what my hands were doing. This is why it's going to be Cervical Flow 0.5. I'm going to go back and do another video in the future, better detailing some of these cervical stretches. But for now, this meets the intent of trying to get you guys some stretches that definitely help. My neck was killing me today, and when I did this, I felt better. I usually do these stretches, this whole cervical flow, 2 or 3 times, just for the record, but I'm only going to demonstrate once on each side with these. This is the Levator Scap stretch. Now, this is a stretch that I love. So many people miss this muscle. This muscle runs from the back of your neck all the way down to the top of your shoulder blade. And a lot of people have this muscle being recruited when trying to do shoulder motions. So it's originating from the neck and it runs down to the scapula, and its job is to elevate the scapula. But what kind of happens with a lot of these neck muscles is they try to help out with shoulder movements, or they try to help with movements they're not designed to. Instead of bringing the scapula up, it tries to bring the neck down, for example. And that's where you really run into some of these issues with the neck pain that you see a lot of people have. So again, you should be feeling this on, in this case, the right side of your neck running down into the scapula, because that's where that muscle attaches. This is a very common one. A lot of patients that I've seen in my clinical rotations and even in my time working other jobs would have neck pain, and they'd always know that the upper trap stretch that we just did, where we tilted our head away, but not a lot of them knew this stretch. And even if they did, they didn't know that they were supposed to be anchoring their arm, just like I'm doing here. So the opposite side is anchored, and you are gently pulling your chin to your chest. So, or to your armpit rather. So what you're doing here is, again, you're just trying to maximally elongate that muscle. That hand is still there for gentle facilitation. We're not pulling, we're not yanking. It's you're trying to smell your armpit, or you're trying to bring your forehead down to the floor in a diagonal away from the other armpit. And you're really just trying to hold that stretch. Now, this is one that you're probably not going to have such a dramatic increase in range of motion like we did with the last one. With the upper trap, you can just watch over time as your ear gets closer and closer to your shoulder. This one is much more tricky. So now we're going to be moving on to the next stretch. This one is going to be this SCM. Yep. And what we're stretching here is some of the neck muscles to your side, but also in the front. It's sternocleidomastoid muscle. And this is one that's very tight in a lot of people. You can actually see it standing out on my neck. There's the one that runs all the way down to the front of my neck and the one that runs down straight to the side. That's SCM. This one is particularly tight on me. And in case you didn't know, fun fact, you're also stretching the anterior scalenes in this position. A lot of your nerves that run into your arm, for example, or into your face for sensory, run in between the muscles called the scalenes, kind of near the SCM where we're stretching right here. And so for me, I get a lot of referred pain up into my forehead and into my face because of how tight my SCM and my scalenes are. If you're feeling some sort of sensation in your forehead or your face, that could be normal. Again, that's why I have this disclaimer, because you have to tease out with a medical professional why that's happening. For me, I know it's neurological. I know that my muscles are so tight that they're squeezing on those nerves, which is why I designed this intervention. But if you're having numbness, if you're having tingling, or if you're having pain, back off, talk to a medical professional, figure out what's going on. Some of these positions can put stress on veins and arteries, let alone nerves, and it's really important to get medically cleared before doing any of these stretches. But for this one, SCM, if you've been medically cleared, you're good to go. Your physical therapist, your personal trainer, athletic trainer is giving you these interventions. It's on them, not me. And this is definitely one that a lot of people could benefit from. We live our lives looking at our phone, looking down at our screens, looking at computers, and these muscles get really tight and short, and in some cases weak. All right, and again, don't forget that you're anchoring your arm with all of these. Now we're going to rotate the chair, and we're going to end with something a little bit below the neck. We're going to do a thoracic opener. Why are we ending with a thoracic opener? A thoracic extension. Like I've said before in other videos, a lot of the time, the issues that you're feeling in your cervical spine, or your thoracic spine, or your lumbar spine can come from the segment above or below. So what we're doing here is just going in and trying to cause some extension in the thoracic spine, open it up, improve some mobility. That way our cervical spine, if it is compensating for a lack of mobility in the thoracic spine, it's going to get a break. It's going to have some increased mobility in its partner segments. And that way all of the responsibility in this sense, all of the mobility won't have to come from it. It can relax and it can be in a more proper alignment. The musculoskeletal system will be performing the way that it's supposed to instead of me being hunched forward. I want to take a moment to say thank you to all my patrons, Spunky Rufus, Jake, and Ben. You guys are awesome. You guys make this all possible. And of course, none of this would be possible without the amazing music by Robert Mason Sandifer. Thank you, sir, for continuing to make music. And if you haven't yet, please consider joining the Patreon, liking and subscribing. It helps the channel immensely. I'll see you all in the next video.